Hi, this is Lee Phillips. I want to talk to you for a second about separating assets in marriage. Husband, wife, separate assets. Do you do that or do you put them all together? The first thing that happened when you got married was, sweetie, don't you love me? And the second thing you heard was, let's put our names on the bank account as joint tenants. And that's exactly what you did. Most couples go through life as joint tenants. You do that so that when one dies, the other one doesn't have to probate the bank account or the house or whatever the asset is. Joint tenancy says instantly that other guy owns it. Well, that's okay, but during your lifetime, there are liabilities. And in my neighborhood, in the 2 blocks around us, 38 MDs. If you go down and look at the plat map at the city to see who owns all of these houses around me, you can't tell who owns them. Or at a minimum, the spouse owns them. So what are they doing and why are they doing it? As an asset protection, you should separate assets between husband and wife, spouse, okay? Because in theory, if this spouse gets in trouble, their business goes bankrupt. This spouse's assets are not available to satisfy that bankruptcy because you're not going to both declare bankruptcy. One of you will declare bankruptcy. Now, if you've both signed on a mortgage, that mortgage is going to get drawn into it. If you've both done stuff, then you are both on the hook, so to speak. In a community property state, you've got a problem. And the 9 community property states, whatever it is, Washington, California, Arizona, Nevada, Idaho, Texas, Wisconsin, and Puerto Rico. I think that's all of them. At any rate, you're in a community property state, husband and wife are one legal entity. So it's hard to have them both own property. However, even in a community property state, any property that's brought into the marriage, any property that you inherit, any property that you get by gift, that can be held as separate property, and you should do that. You should divide up the property. My wife and I, the last 35 years of our marriage, never owned anything in common. And funny thing is, our marriage survived another 35 years. Love has nothing to do with property ownership. So he has his, she has hers, and hopefully the two never meet. Now there are a bunch of ifs, ands, and buts in it. I'll do another video on how to buy a house in a single spouse, in a spouse's name, only one spouse's name. You got to jump through a bunch of hurdles. But if I have property here, if this spouse gets in trouble, I can't tie this property to this spouse, then this property is going to be protected. So from an asset protection standpoint, the doctor is going to get sued over here. His spouse, her spouse, owns the assets, the family home, all of the big bank accounts and stuff. Those are protected when this guy gets sued and has a personal liability. There are issues on, okay, this spouse has it all, they're driving and they're in an accident. You carry a big insurance policy. So you have to do things to settle it out. Now there's a number of other issues, but my wife owns the house I'm living in. I'm a kept man. I don't want to probate this house when she dies. So this house has to be owned in her trust. That means you have to have a his trust and a her trust. And that's another YouTube video, how to set up his trusts and her trusts. So do the division of assets between spouses for asset protection. Make sure that you don't have to probate them so that and you're going to do that by having a living revocable trust, a his trust and her trust. And you're going to make sure that you cross the T's and dot the I's, particularly on the purchase of a residence and a mortgage. That mortgage ties the two of you together, and we've got to figure out how to do it differently. You're both going to be on the mortgage. I hope not. But you're both probably going to be on the mortgage, but we can still make it so that it's this person's house and not this person's house for asset protection purposes. Lee Phillips talking about dividing property between spouses. And by the way, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell and toot the horn and do whatever else you do for us. And by the way, one other thing, write in and go to, just click below is what you do. And I will give you a copy of my ebook, How to Use a Trust. It's a good ebook, guys. So get the copy of How to Use a Trust, and we will see you next time.